government constantly votes to increase taxes on Canadians. They voted to increase taxes on fuel. They voted to increase taxes on home heating. And at a time when Canadians are struggling to put food on the table for their families, 1.5 million Canadians visiting food banks in a single month, these Liberals voted to increase their carbon tax on food production. So when will they finally quit forcing their failed carbon tax on struggling Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, I understand that the Conservatives are still debating whether or not the climate crisis is real, and I understand that their economic policy can be summed up by cancelling the price on pollution. What I don't understand is that yesterday the Conservatives voted against a tax cut for small businesses, Madam Speaker. They voted against eliminating interest on student loans. Madam Speaker, we have been there for Canadians. We have a strong and prudent fiscal policy in this country. I just don't understand why the Conservatives consistently oppose it.
Honourable Member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
Madam Speaker, what we oppose is their failed carbon tax plan. It's not an environmental plan, and what we're voting against is, like the Auditor General saw, $27 billion in misappropriated COVID funds. What we're going to continue to vote against is the wasteful spending of these inflationary arsonists. Madam Speaker, these Liberals haven't found a tax that they don't love. When will they finally get rid of their tax and spend ways and give Canadians a well-deserved break?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, I'm not sure who the Conservative member is referring to when he calls people arsonists, but clearly the facts and the numbers don't seem to matter to the Conservatives. If they bothered to look at the facts, they would see that we have the lowest deficit and the lowest debt of all G7 countries. They would also see that we continue to have a AAA credit rating, which means, Madam Speaker, and the numbers bear this out, business investors are finding Canada to be the most prudent and responsible investment, Madam Speaker. Business investment is up in this country. I just wish that the Conservatives would stop denigrating our economy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Wasteful Liberal spending is up again, as we heard from the Auditor General, including sending cheques to prisoners and dead people. This only adds more fuel to the raging inflationary fire. So as a result, here's what's also up. Grocery prices, interest and mortgage rates, and sadly, food bank use in the GTA. So, Madam Speaker, when will this Liberal government end their wasteful inflationary spending so Canadians can afford to put food on the table and heat their homes?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, on this side of the House, we know that the programs that we put in place during the COVID-19 pandemic helped 9 million Canadians weather the storm, to stay safe, to keep a roof over their head, food on the table. Madam Speaker, since that time, we continue to invest in Canadians. Over 2 million Canadians have been lifted out of poverty in this country since this government has come into power. May I remind them that 450,000 children are now living better than they could have before. We've put in dental care for children under 12. We're putting in rental supports for low-income families. The opposition...
The Honourable...
Thanks, Madam Speaker. Gradually, then suddenly, 2015 to now, the Liberals have added $800 billion in debt, nearly doubled the debt. What was the inflation rate in October of 2015? 1%. What was it earlier this year? Over 8%. Now, they've tripled the carbon tax on every single thing you need to live your life. If the Liberals wanted to help Canadians, what could they do? How about cut the carbon tax? When will the Liberals get rid of this wasteful carbon tax? Thank you.
Well, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. And yesterday, the Conservatives had the opportunity to vote for affordability, Madam Speaker, and they failed. The other thing they failed on, Madam Speaker, is fighting climate change. But there's good news coming to Ontario, Madam Speaker. The price on pollution is increasing, yes, but the climate action rebate is also increasing, and our citizens from Ontario Ontario, the average family of 4 will get $244 a quarter. That's $1,000 in people's bank accounts. Madam Speaker, we can fight climate change. We can help affordability. They don't have a plan for.
Honorable député.